Hey everybody, this is Mark,
And this is Justin.
and this is Awkward Fist Bump Productions.
And
Boom.
uh,
All right, so we have to start this episode with some fairly bad news. So last week, you saw, well, maybe you saw, maybe you didn't, that we had posted an interview, and it was gone within what? How long was it? What,
five,
24 hours? Not even,
less than that,
yeah.
12
So,
hours,
go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
maybe 12 hours.
Was it? Okay, maybe it was only 12 hours. Okay. But unfortunately, there was some issues that happened, and we cannot, nor will we, get into the what, when, where, why, how. This is not a gossiping channel, but suffice it to say, we had to remove the video for certain reasons. So for that, we apologize. Unfortunately, some of the fallout of that video caused our co-host to have to resign, effective basically immediately. So unfortunately, Ashley will no longer be doing anything as far as Awkward Fist Bump Productions. It's a shame. We love Ashley. We love her to death.
We do.
And trust me, it has nothing to do with us having any type of internal fighting or anything like that. Had nothing to do with that. But unfortunately, she had to make the decision to step back. And as I said, we're not going to get into the who, what, when, where, why, how, but unfortunately, she is still very, very behind the mission. And so she really still supports what we're doing and what we're talking about. So, Ashley, if you're watching this, we love you.
We miss
Uh,
you.
and we'll definitely miss you. So, yeah, boom. Yeah, good call, man. Good call. So, we've had to take a step back this week and kind of decide, hey, what are we doing? Where are we going? What is our purpose? And I think we explained at the very beginning what our purpose was. Our purpose was to bring, especially right now in today's political climate, where law enforcement is looked by some as a terrible group of people, and at the same time, criminals are looked at, or inmates and people that are involved in the various aspects of the criminal justice system are also by a certain segment of society looked at with scorn.
Right.
And the whole point of this video and the whole point of our channel really is to bring that us together.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and you tell me, Justin, I think right now is the perfect time to do this because you turn on the news and it's especially these last couple of months, and it's just been
Divided.
divided. And yeah, that's a good word. And we're trying to mend. We're trying to mend bridges. It has nothing to do with. At no point have you heard me or Ashley say, cops are bad. At no point have you also heard any of us say, inmates are bad. We've said some inmates are bad. We've said some law enforcement officers are bad.
But
But go ahead, buddy.
in general, there's a lot of good people on both sides. And
Absolutely.
we want to be able to just sit down and try our best to find a common ground and, learn from each other, really, because a lot of times we don't have the opportunities to talk with one another and to hear from the other person's side and what they're going through and how they view things.
hmm Exactly. So we've got a lot of stuff planned still that we're still doing. We're going to keep going on mission. Um, Ashley is a valuable member of our community, but unfortunately, she had to step aside. But we're still going to keep the channel going. So stay tuned. I'm not sure. Everything's liquid right now. I'm not sure if we're going to get a new co-host. I'm not sure if it's just going to be me and Justin. But definitely stay tuned and do us a favor. Subscribe, smash that like button, or actually awkwardly fist bump that smash button. Comment below. Actually, right now would be perfect for y'all to comment below. Tell us, hey, what do you want to see? Where do you want us to go? Right now we're filming on the day that I woke up today in what is it, Wisconsin? Is
I
it
think
Wisconsin? I'm not sure what state, but We had the officer involved shooting that people are rioting now about, and then there was a young man that, and I don't know what side that you fall on, but he was shot and killed a couple of people at a protest. Um, we're not saying that's good. We're not saying that's bad. We're just saying right now this is a very, very heated climate for us to do this channel, and that's the point. We want to mend those bridges. We want to show people that not all law enforcement is bad. We want to show people that not all people on the other side are bad. So that's kind of where we are. So comment below. Let us know what you want to see, where you want to go. Get involved in our discussion. Everything's below you right now. If you want to become a Patreon supporter and help us improve our sound, improve our lighting, etc., that's what the money's going to go for. But that being said, Justin, go ahead, buddy.
All right, so I got a question for you.
Okay.
So, as you were watching past seasons of 60 Days In, you ended up leaving a comment on one of their websites and interacting with them about the TV series. And A&E was the one who contacted you about trying to get on 60 Days In. So once that happened, what was your thought process? What was your, what motivated you to want to go on to 60 Days In and be a contestant on that show?
Okay. Well, first of all, we're not a contestant. We're a participant.
A participant.
There was no prize of money at the end, so I don't call it a contestant. But we are actually referred to as participants. But great question. Great question. So when I got out of the military in 2013, I became a corrections officer for the state of Georgia. And being a corrections officer was not my life's goal. I mean, just to be honest with you, if we're going to be serious about everything, let's be serious. I was not like, hey, I want to work in a prison. But if you guys remember, 2013, the economy was terrible. And I had dropped hundreds, if not thousands of resumes and didn't hear anything. And someone finally told me, hey, the prison down south, about 30 minutes south of where I lived, they're always hiring. So I needed to do something. I needed to pay the bills. So I went down, I applied, and I became, a corrections officer. At the same time, Justin, you were incarcerated. You had been in at that point probably, 3 or 4 years? Because it was 2009. July of 2009? August of 2009.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I'm working as a corrections officer. So I see one side of the equation. You were incarcerated. So I hear about the other side of the equation. At the same time, so I had that on my mind. And then fast forward 3 years later, A&E's got this new, breaking hit new TV show called 60 Days In. So, of course, I watched it. And everybody has a Facebook group now for everything. So I just joined the group, and y'all heard me say before, I made a comment on one of their social media posts, and that started the conversation where they actually contacted me. And you asking this question is actually great, because that's the same thing A&E asked. They're like, well, why do you even want to do this? So the main reason why I wanted to do A&E 60 Days In is honestly because I had been a corrections officer. I had seen things from, this side of the badge. But then at the same time, me and you had a lot of dialogue during that time when I was a corrections officer, and you had a lot of, hey, don't be like this, don't be like that, don't be like that, whatever. And so the reason, honestly, was because I kept hearing you gripe, okay? And part of it was, even though I heard you, to be honest with you, Justin, some of it was like, okay, is he being for real, or is he whining because he doesn't get his way?
No.
So, and that's, I'm not trying to bash you, Justin, but that's what went through my head.
Yeah.
It's
like you said, without being in my shoes, you didn't understand and know really like our point of view.
exactly, and I only had the corrections officer point of view, and the mindset being these guys whine about anything, and this, that, and the third, and so when we would have those conversations apprehensively, I would sit there and I would say, maybe Justin is just dramatizing. Maybe he wants pity points, whatever.
Never
And 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 so they approached me with this, and it was like, first of all, why are y'all approaching me? But as I had time to finally process it and talk about it and think about it, it was, Justin has talked to me many times about how terrible it is. I've seen things from, as I said, my side, and that's the side that wears the badge. You know what? Maybe it's time to put my money where my mouth is and see if Justin's for real or if he's whining. And so that had a lot to do, to be honest with you. Now, the network, if you watch my season, you'll see, oh, he's a super fan. And I was a fan of the show. But sometimes you've got some Hollywood magic. And what I mean by Hollywood magic is sometimes they make things up. And I was a fan of the show, but I wasn't a super fan by any stretch. I had watched the show and I was a fan, but that wasn't why I wanted to do the show. It had nothing to do with, wow, my show was. No, no, no.
Yeah.
So it was really to kind of see things from where you were. Now, granted, I did my time in county. I never went to the state system, all right, in Arizona. It was county time. And so I will never pretend to know everything you went through. I did 60 days. You did 10 years.
10 years, 18 months in the county, yeah, but 10 years
Yeah.
total.
But I wanted to see at least as much as I could without going into the system myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what it was. Was it really as bad as Justin claims it is? Is it, and will it make me a stronger officer maybe down the road if I ever go back into law enforcement? So one of the things is when A&E reached out to me, I had actually stopped being a corrections officer at that point, and I was a full-time real estate agent. So, I didn't know if I ever desired to go back into corrections. Hey, real quick, just and we've talked about it before, just if you don't know, at least at the state level, the pay is terrible. So, yeah, I had to get out and make
Yeah.
money so I could really, really support my family.
Yeah.
And I think you would approve because my wife is your sister and my kids are your nephews and nieces. So,
Hey,
so, so I had to get out because the money just wasn't great. But doing the show actually led me back into law enforcement. And I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I can sit here and I can whine about my time on 60 Days In, or I can actually make it count for something. So I went back into law enforcement. But at the time, I kind of wanted to see, because I had seen things from one point of view, and I wanted to see things from the other point of view.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why I did it, if that helps.
Oh yeah. So what do you think that you did learn once you actually went in? Like, do you think do you finally see that I was telling you the truth, or was I exaggerating, or?
You were whining.
No.
No, I'm
Wait
kidding.
till I come over next time. Wait till I come over.
No. So I saw a lot of things that I didn't like. Now understand, I'm back to wearing the badge again. So, I understand some of the policies and some of the reasons why they do, why officers and administration does what they do. But one of the biggest things that I think I learned is empathy, because part of law enforcement training, as far as at the corrections officer level, is you've got to be very, very wary about what inmates want, because they're going to act like they're your best friend. And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to manipulate you. And let's be honest, if we're going to have honest dialogue, as I say, we've got to speak truth. There are times where inmates want to manipulate you. I mean, why don't you speak about that from your point of view?
I mean, that definitely does happen. Um,
Yeah.
it's not, and the thing about it is like officers need to realize, and it's hard because y'all deal with it a lot, but it's not
Mhm.
like sometimes we really are coming at you like, I need this, I need that, I need help with this, but you've
Mhm.
been, bamboozled so many times with lies
Yeah.
that you don't know who to trust, and that's hard. I understand that's hard for y'all, but then that gets irritating for us when we really do need help or we really do need something.
Yeah.
So that
And
makes it's frustrating.
doing the show definitely opened my eyes to that because, as I said, the training is, hey, they're trying to manipulate you, they're trying to manipulate you, they're trying to manipulate you,
And it's not
and
always.
it's not always. Yes, they were right in the training. A lot of times it is manipulation, but it's not always manipulation. They're not always trying to mess you over. They're not trying to get over on you necessarily all the time. And that's one of the things I would say I learned doing the show is if you watch the show, you saw where I got into it a few times with some of the detention officers over there in Arizona, and it was because, oh wow, they really, some of them really don't care. But as I said, I walk a fine line because yes, I could see the good, I could see the bad. One of the things that really irritated me when I did the final exit brief, if you will, with the sheriff, they edited it to where you just saw me complaining about one thing.
Yeah.
But what you didn't see, and it was a particular detention officer, but what you didn't see is I also had a list of people that were great detention officers there. And I went down and I was like, this guy's awesome, this guy's great, this guy's great. And but for whatever reason, A&E didn't show that. So you didn't see that part. You just saw me complaining about the detention officer, the bad detention officer that messed me over with the razor blade. And and yes, there are good officers there, and
Oh,
Justin's even said that time and time again on this
oh yeah.
channel is there are good people that work, and
Yeah.
that's part of the reason what we want y'all to see that there are good people in corrections, but there are also there are also people that
Try to make
they're
the everybody else's time hard, and
hmm
like sometimes I mean we don't understand it, but there's officers that really just have a hatred for us, and
hmm
like a lot of times we're like we've tried to like the people that have been like that, we've tried to like compromise with them and talk with them like, why do you have to keep bugging us like this? Why can't you listen to us? But a lot
hmm
of times, some of them just really do have a hatred for us. But then there are a good handful of officers that are really good officers that all they want to do is come in, do their job, make sure that the inmates are safe, and go home with a paycheck
hmm
and go back to their family. But then there's these robo-cops who don't like us and they try to make our time live in hell. It's like we're already doing time away from our loved ones and families and wives and kids, sometimes, and that's really hard, like mentally. And then you got all the chain gang stuff that we deal with, that y'all don't see,
hmm
might see, but you don't see constantly that we have to deal with. And, it's like just let us do our time, come in, count, do your job, get out the door, just let us be for the most part and don't harass us. And those are the officers that we really that will stick up for and that we care for, that we like having around, and that we will say put our like we'll say these people are good people. But
hmm
then you do have the few officers who harass you. I mean, like even in Ashley's season, like how she was harassing them while the people were trying to go to sleep and stuff.
hmm
That really does happen. Like it really does happen. I mean, they have officers who will keep the lights on, turn them on too early, keep them on longer than they need to, and like just do random things that just have a hatred for inmates. And to me, it's like if you really think that we're the scum of the earth and you just can't stand us, why do you even come to work? Why do you choose this job?
And I can tell you, having done the show, that there are COs like that. There aren't a lot. I would
Yeah,
say
there's
that
not a lot.
it's not as rampant as it sounds like when we're talking. We're not saying every CO.
Oh,
We're not saying even the vast majority of COs.
no.
It's a few. That being said, I saw it. down there in Arizona. I still believe that Sheriff Mark Lamb is running a great facility. I think he's doing a really great job. But at the end of the day, you know, and that's through no fault of his own, there are still COs/DOs
Yep.
that, you know,
I'm gonna put through the practice.
yep. And whether it's laziness, I'm not 100% sure, laziness or to be spiteful, I don't know. But that's the one thing that's helped me, especially when I put back on the badge,
Mhm.
was okay. Now I've got that empathy, and I'm starting to get good. I don't want to say I'm getting great to where I can see if an inmate's manipulating me or not, but because some will just play games, period.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think it's helped me as an officer to be able to see, okay, this guy has a legitimate issue versus this guy's trying to manipulate me. So it did help me. It helped me in my everyday work now. Um, I don't go in there and try to make their time hard because, and you can probably back me up here. The one thing I saw in 60 Days In is like one day in jail seems like 4 or 5 days on the outside. It just drags on. And then, as you also just said about 5 minutes ago, you have the internal politics that we don't see because my pod there in Pinal County, Arizona, it wasn't a direct supervision pod. What a direct supervision pod is basically a pod where CO is constantly there. He's there all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The pod that I was in was basically a pod that they just came in every 30 to 40 minutes and checked on you. So
That's still.
we scheduled everything being inmates around that rotation. Okay, they're gone. Cool. Now if y'all want to fight, fight.
Oh yeah.
You know, okay, all right, now we can get back to doing what it is we're doing, So you're absolutely right. But I think it helped me. I'm glad I did the show, and I definitely don't regret it because it's made me a better officer. Because it's made me a better officer on both sides. Not only am I more empathetic when it comes to dealing with inmates, I also know some of the hiding places because I sat there and I was like, huh, this is where I'd put it. And so
Bet you
it's
don't
helped me
know
on both
all of them.
sides. What's that?
I bet you don't know all of them.
No, maybe not all of them. Maybe not all of them. But yeah, so I have no regrets for doing the show. And to be honest with you, Justin, I don't even know if you've seen my season. I know you've watched bits and pieces,
Bits
but
and
I don't
pieces.
know.
I mean,
Yeah,
and some people are gonna be like, "You haven't watched it, and that's your brother-in-law," and it's like, all right, you did it while I was still in. It came out,
yeah,
and I was in. Well, I was at the transitional center, and we only had two TVs in there for 200 or plus people,
yeah,
and it was hard to get the remote. And I was working all the time, and I had my phone, so I could get on YouTube and Facebook finally, and all this other stuff. So my mind was out of chain gang as much as I possibly could be,
and
even
you
though I
didn't want to.
still in. Yeah,
You
and
didn't even want to think about incarceration at that point.
yeah. So I
But
mean, I was working a lot, coming back in between 6 and 8 every night.
yeah,
And by the time I got a shower and ate dinner, it was time to go to bed so I could get up and go back to work the next day. And
yeah,
so I didn't have time to try to go watch the TV because there was only two of them, like I said. And then once I got out, I really didn't want to watch anything that had to do with Chang'an. I
yeah.
wanted to step away from that for a while, but I have watched a few clips here and there. And then now that you're doing the reactions, I'm actually starting to watch it as you're doing the reactions also. So
Yeah, I need to get I didn't want to do one last week, so I probably need to get one done tomorrow at some point. But so stay tuned for the reaction videos. I just had to take a break because I work such a weird schedule, y'all. I leave here at 1:45 in the afternoon. I don't get home until midnight, and I have Wednesday, Thursdays off. That's why you see our stuff come out Wednesday, Thursday. But because work such a weird hour, it's like I go to sleep, I wake up, I got to get ready to go to work. And so y'all just stay tuned. If we don't post something, some week, it might be because we had to take time off. For me, it's just like, I got last week, I think I was to that point. We did that one video, and I was glad we did the video. It was a great interview, and I'm sorry you guys had to miss that, but I just had to, I was like, okay, that's the only video I'm doing. So, but anyway, well, listen, I think this is a good stopping point, bro. We just wanted to tell y'all, hey, what's going on, where we're going from here. Um, Once again, we love you, Ashley. We love you more than anything. Sorry. But, and then I know Justin said, why don't we talk a little bit about 60 Days In on the pre-call? So I hope that answers any questions. If you guys have any more questions, you want to know more about 60 Days In, we're not going to really talk about Ashley in more details, so don't ask anything about Ashley as far as that's concerned. But you can guarantee she's going to watch. But interact below, because we really, really want you guys' comments, because I read every single one, and I know Justin reads every single one. And we try to interact with you about at least putting a little heart or whatever there. So hopefully one day this channel will have like 100,000 subs, and it'll be hard to react to every single one. But for the time being, we're reading everything you guys are putting down there. So comment, get involved in our Facebook group and all that good stuff.
Instagram.
And Instagram, awkward_fist_bump_productions. That was your boy Justin that came up with that. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. But all right, well, we will talk to y'all later.